I was having an argument with, and I say argument lightly, like I was having a discussion with
Okay.
the International Ice Hockey Federation Instagram account because
They're aware
there
of
was
how popular our podcast is, right?
yeah, exactly. No,
20, it got 20 views last week. We're building up. We're
I
going
know.
up.
All right, um, so in Scandinavia, there was this like 3-day mini tournament that they just happened to suddenly have for the
Okay.
women's national teams, right? And they
Mhm.
posted about it, and we're all happy about it. And I was like, okay, that's cool, but like you won't go ahead and have like the U18 national championships, which is the highest level of junior girls tournaments in the world.
Okay.
So I commented that I was like, this is okay, but not a U18 bubble in Edmonton for the like the boys are doing, because that's what's happening. Christmas
Yeah.
Day, the World Juniors for the boys, for the men,
Yeah.
which is granted U21.
Yeah. So it's under
So
the age of 21.
it's a slightly higher age group,
Mm.
understandable. And they brought up this point. I mean, first of all, I want to commend the the IIHF um, social medias for engaging with a nobody like myself.
Hey,
Um,
you're
I
not a
mean,
nobody. Look,
in
you
relative,
can't compare. You can't compare social status at the moment, right? Because my own girlfriend just basically told me I look like crap before I came on this podcast. So
fair. So they engaged me with this first point, and they
yeah.
said, you would have to ask the teams, as such tournaments are first and foremost for the players, but here are three main differences. One, they are not underage persons. At a U18 team event, players are underage by definition. Two, they could cross borders without immigration issues because they're all part of the EU in Scandinavia, right?
Mhm.
Um, and it was a 3-day tournament, while a world championship takes longer, and they bring up the world juniors that takes a month to put on fully with pre-camps
Yeah.
and stuff like that, which makes it easier to take time off from work/school. Of course, we would love to offer fans as much women's hockey as possible, but it's a global pandemic and you have to respect the players, especially if they are not full-time pros and have jobs/school besides playing hockey. All fair points,
Yeah.
very fair points. But the World Juniors for the under 21 men have pretty much similar issues with what they just brought up. And I brought up this idea because, all the boys would have similar issues. Most of them are 17 going to the World Juniors. Like, they're pretty young. 17, 18,
Mhm.
19 is kind of the age group that the World Juniors are most occupied by, right?
Yeah.
So they argued back, saying it doesn't have the same issues. It's a different age group, different country/venue setup. Players are pros or full-time in hockey, which there's always been an argument in Canada about whether or not junior players are pros. They are not paid unless they have an NHL contract that pays them. So by definition, they are not pros because they do not get paid. They do
Yeah, but
have an educate. Hold on, let me get through it all. And I wrote all this to them, and they haven't responded, which is fair because it's become a bit more of an argument than a discussion at this point. However, they do have to go to school. There is a full education program in place in all three Canadian hockey leagues, Canadian junior hockey leagues, which is where most of the talent from Canada and some other countries will come from for the World Juniors at the end of the year. They all
yeah.
have to have education plans. So, yes, they are full-time hockey players, but they still go to school. They still have things like that. I'm not,
Yeah.
some of them might have jobs. That's a little more on the behind the scenes vague thing.
Yeah, but then you
But
okay.
they're not paid. unless they have an NHL contract. Some players
Mhm.
who go to the World Juniors will have an NHL contract, others won't, right?
Mhm.
You sidestep the whole venue issue by holding it in the same bubble that you're holding the men's tournament in at a slightly different time, right? The men's
Yeah.
tournament bubble is going to be in Edmonton, Alberta, which is
Mhm.
where the Stanley Cup final was played, where the NHL Western Conference was hosted.
Mhm.
So they're using the same bubble there with the girls, either prior to Christmas or
Yeah.
just after the men's tournament finishes, right? All
So
school is online basically this year. I
yeah, if you
think
can, I've got
I
to be
think
honest.
there would
The whole
be an
argument of
exception to be
yeah,
made for
the whole
school.
argument of school, I've got to be honest, is a bit of a stretch because I always find this quite difficult when people explain this to me because there's a lot of times my partner Belle did her dissertation on burnout in student athletes. Now, she at one point discussed with an American football athlete what his day was like. So
Mm.
he was waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning,
Phew.
going and training for 3 hours. So that then moves him to 9. Then he was eating breakfast, and by the by, but we worked out that over the course of the day, he only did about 25 hours, 5 hours of college stuff.
Right. So over
Um,
a 5-day week, he'd be 25 hours.
yeah. So it
Yeah.
becomes difficult because if you're doing 25 hours to 50, so the limit on, I could be butchering this, but the NCAA limit on how much time they can dedicate to sports a day is like 3 hours. But that doesn't include time in the weight room, doesn't include time in the film. That is literally just time
On the field.
on the field practicing.
Yeah. On the
And
field,
that's
in the
only,
rink, whatever.
yeah, that's only time that the school say their practice. This is what time practice is. I can guarantee you that if you are a player that is on the path that is on the Canadian junior hockey team, the probability that you're going to end up at some point in your future being a professional hockey player is rather high. So you're telling me that someone with that level of dedication isn't spending more time doing hockey than they are school?
And wouldn't be able to find a workaround to attend an international tournament at the highest level possible for your
And so
age group.
how long does the tournament take?
The women's tournament would take less time than the men's because there's fewer countries involved. I believe, if I remember correctly, there are only 6 or 8. It's 6 or 8 countries
Mm,
involved in the women's tournament, which
yeah.
means there's a short round robin where 3 teams play each other, and then they go into because they separate into 2 divisions, right? And I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
in the men's there's 5 on either side. I think there's 10 teams, if I remember
yeah.
correctly. So
Yes.
in the women's there's either 6 or 8, and
Mm,
regardless, 2 divisions, each team plays each other once in the round robin, and then they go right into the uh, the playoffs, right?
yeah.
So
Effectively,
you're looking at 2.5 weeks,
mhm.
probably
So
less.
2.5 weeks. Let's say, for example, because they'll turn around and go, "Oh, we want time there to acclimatise or whatever." Throw that away because I'm sorry, but if your rinks are to, the NHL standard, then if you're going from one NHL standard rink to another NHL standard rink, it shouldn't affect too much, and any difference is going to be negated by because it's a neutral zone and neutral place. Neither team are really going to know the ice any better than any other team.
Right. So yeah,
So
it's got nothing.
reality,
It's not going to have anything to do with home ice advantage or anything like that
yeah,
because there's no fans in the
no,
stands.
no.
It's if you turned on any single NHL playoff game, it'll be just like that. You could
Yeah.
pump crowd noise into it, whatever. So on
So
that side of things, there's
we're
no real advantage.
looking at 2 weeks lost school time
Yeah.
for kids that probably have they probably have already maintained a decent grade point average because they're looking to get college scholarships. They're probably already at that age getting interest from colleges. So
Most of the girls either will or have already been committed. Like,
yeah,
I would say 75% of the Barracudas right now are committed.
yeah.
Or more.
So you're telling me that 2 weeks schoolwork is really going to affect them that much? I think this is the thing for me with COVID. Like, not with COVID as general, but there does need to see a certain element of around the entire world of, we're facing something unprecedented. Let's let things slide a little bit. You know, it's like you can not stress as much about certain things. You know, so I think, some girls going off and playing a junior hockey tournament, which is probably very important to them because they've probably lost out on a year's worth of hockey and are itching to get back on the ice. Then I think that actually, to be honest, if you look at it mental health wise, the ability for them to go back and play the sport they love and spend some time on the ice is probably a bit more beneficial than 2 weeks worth of schoolwork. So I think we can let it slide. I don't really understand where this whole stress is coming from, but
right.
I also noticed when you started recording, by the way, I noticed. You didn't catch me out.
No, I know. But I wanted to have this a part of it, right?
Okay.
So like for me as well, of course you have to be respected. You have to be respected. You have to show respect to the players and their families because all of these girls will be underage.
Yeah.
So they have to be treated as such.
Mm.
But I don't know if the parents aren't comfortable with the player playing or the kid's not comfortable playing, then don't play.
Yeah, simple as that. I mean, the only thing I would say is that the same with every single sport that's played this year. If you win a championship, if you win a higher level sport, if you win the Stanley Cup, no matter what you win, it should have an asterisk next to it.
Because it's more difficult.
Yes, but also, if you look in the case of, let's say, Lewis Hamilton, to move us on to our F1 team, he's won he will mathematically and probability-wise win a championship this year in a year when the cars, the testing, where they're racing has not been predictable.
Fair.
So because it hasn't been the same as a normal Formula One World Championship, we haven't gone and raced at the same places. There is an argument to be made that we haven't gone and raced at some of the circuits where the Mercedes would have struggled. We have raced up until this point in the season at very straight line heavy, speed heavy circuits. And Mercedes have come out running with a car that's already very, very good. And you're probably finding that people like Ferrari and all that kind of stuff aren't really being able to catch up because Mercedes has started this year with a really good car. And whereas Ferrari would go, right, everyone in the office until 12 o'clock at night, let's figure out what's wrong here. Let's develop the living daylights out of it. They haven't been able to because everyone's been restricted. Now, yes, Mercedes have been restricted by the same things, but I still think that the season needs an asterisk. I don't think it's a thing where we can turn around and go, well, Lewis Hamilton only won the World Championship because of COVID. But I don't think that it's not the same as a normal World Championship, the same as it's not the same as a normal NHL Stanley Cup or, any of those things. It's like a lot of people run the London Marathon this year. a friend of mine ran it, but she said she didn't actually feel like she ran the London Marathon because she ran round a park in Luton for 6 hours. So she
Well,
didn't
yeah, sorry, you
run.
didn't run the London Marathon then.
No, she
You
ran the
weren't in you
distance.
weren't in London, you didn't run the
Yeah,
London Marathon.
no, she ran the distance of the London Marathon,
Right.
which is the length of a marathon, but she didn't run it in London. So it's kind of one of those things that you're like, I wouldn't, if I'd done that, I wouldn't parade around saying I'd run the London Marathon, mostly because I think
Right.
I'd die. But do you know what I mean? It just kind of needs a little bit of an accolade next to it. Of it still matters, it's still well done, but you did it in a year when everything wasn't predictable.
Well, right. And for me, then that's what makes it more difficult for some aspects. I think your
Yeah.
F1 points are valid, where you're talking about, a lot of the new tracks that they've
Yeah.
gone to have been advantageous to the mechanical setup of the Mercedes car.
Yes.
What I will say about hockey in particular is that no fans. So, these guys, especially in the Stanley Cup finals and Stanley Cup playoffs, are used to playing in front of 18,000 people, where you're feeding off the energy of 18,000 people. You're feeding off the atmosphere. Everything there is gone. You're playing in front of 10 people in the press box, 5 kilometers above you, not literally. You're playing in a bubble where you can't see, bless you, you can't see your family.
Yeah.
You can't interact with anyone else other than your teammates. And even then, you're not really supposed to interact with people that aren't in your rooms.
Yeah.
The only people you're going to see then are your teammates. They did make an exception for the teams that made it to the Stanley Cup final. Some families were allowed to go, but it was only Canadian families. So the families that had already been living in Canada, only they ended up going because American families would have had to quarantine for 2 weeks. So by the time they were told, oh, well, you can go to the Stanley Cup final, well, they didn't know that their husband was going to be in the Stanley Cup final until the Stanley Cup final started. So to go and you're traveling to Canada to watch it from a hotel room in isolation for 2 weeks. So why bother?
Yeah, why bother?
Right.
But it's also one of the things that was one of the. All right.
Hold on. Let me finish my point. It was the most mentally taxing Stanley Cup playoffs ever.
Yes.
And that's why it was more difficult. And that's why it was more difficult to win.
Yeah, I think in some sports it's been more difficult. Some sports it's been easier. Now, one of the things that's been said, this is true for the NFL and it's true for English soccer, is normally, now, yes, in the NFL, you have a quarterback that is allowed to basically have a headset so he can hear what the offensive coordinator is saying. But normally, he wouldn't be able to turn around and shout to his outside wide receiver, hey, change to this, because the outside wide receiver probably wouldn't hear it.
Right.
So
now he can.
In that case, it's easier. The same thing with football. What they have to do in English football is if they want to change the formation or something like that, because there's no timeouts or anything like that, is the manager, as it's called in football, has to stand on the sidelines and shout and try and shout over 60,000 very, very loud football fans to a bunch of guys that are a football pitch away. Hey, I want you to change to this. You ain't gonna fucking hear him. He might as well be shouting into the moon. But now, because the stadiums are empty, he can be heard. So you've seen so much more change in how football teams play because the manager can go, Ringo Pete, and everyone on the fucking field can hear him. Whereas if you think about that from the other side, the defensive side of the NFL football probably, in their home stadium, gain a lot from their home crowd because the home crowd is being, 12th man, the home crowd is being so loud that you can't hear what, the offensive line can't hear what each other are saying because it's so loud. compared.
13th man in Canada because
So the defense can kind of work off that. So it's different. I'm just saying this year has been different, and that it needs to be noted
it needs
as,
to be remembered as such.
yeah,
That it
not
was
better,
different.
not worse, different. Speaking of different,
And that's the fun part. And
yeah.
so I think just to wrap up the discussion that we had at the beginning, different doesn't mean less opportunity.
Yeah.
And right now as there has been as an issue with hockey for so long, there's less opportunity for the women.
Yeah, which isn't right. Speaking of opportunity for the women, just because we should have talked about this in the planning. So the F1 has decided that next year, 8 of the support races will be standard Formula 2, and 8 will be the W Series.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. I think it's a good thing, because I think that it will encourage more women into the start of motorsport, which I think is good. I struggle with the premise a little bit.
Why? What are they doing?
So the W Series I feel is a little bit fundamentally. I don't disagree with it,
It's
because
not
I
being
think
it's not being structured right, you mean?
no, it's not. It's how they're kind of gaining their talent. So in F3 and F2,
Yeah.
F2 is the closest equivalent to the W Series, because they use effectively what happens is all the teams in F2 have been asked, hey, when you're done with your car for the year, sell it to this W team, and they're going to run it in this series. So they're last year's cars. It wasn't like they turned round and looked through all the lower tiers and went, oh, there's a girl that's doing quite well there in F3, there's a girl that's doing quite there in F4, and kind of cherry picked.
Right.
They basically
Pulling the best talent they could find and bringing them up.
Well, the talent that was coming through,
right.
They've kind of gone, we need to have 24 cars on the grid. We'll peel some of the girls out of F3, some of the girls out of F4, a spattering of girls out of karting, and then pull everyone. Basically, we'll throw rocks and see if we can find other successful other successful female racing drivers. And the way I look at it is, it should be a series that helps develop female women's racing drivers, gives more, promotion and all this kind of stuff, but doesn't make them stand out, but doesn't basically go the other way. Because one of the things I don't understand is that if you look at how the ranks of Formula One comes up, if 100 people start, one goes through. Now the problem is, at the moment, that of those 100 people, 96 are going to be men and 4 are going to be women, which I think is, yes, a fundamental problem. But that means that one that gets through, that's a female, is very rare, because there's not the cumulative amount coming through. But doing something like, so Abby Kirkman, who quite famously is the test driver for the Grand Tour, she is in this W Series. She is already a very successful racing driver.
I was actually going to say, did they contact Abby from Grand Tour?
She's in it.
Yeah.
She's in this series as a kind of, let's bring women up, let's foundation of women. But she doesn't, she's already successful. She's already, there's a couple of other women they brought through, one of which has won Le Mans. And she's won Le Mans, and then they've brought her into this series to be, let's give opportunities to women. She doesn't need opportunities. She's already very successful.
It's a bit like hiring a bunch of A-list celebrity actors for to voice animations that you could easily give to up and coming actors.
Yeah, I think the series is going to run, and I'm very much looking forward to it, because I think it will be good. Because I think that it will promote racing and motorsport and kind of add those kind of things. But I think it could have been done in a different way. My way would have been to take 4 cars on the Formula 2 grid and make them the W team. And you could have that structured in such a way that the team has to give more opportunities to women. Because I know a lot of women that came through race engineering that then got no shot. Has to try and employ female, the best 4 female drivers from previous years. And then they race, and however well they do is however well they do. But bringing already successful racing drivers into a racing series to, try and promote them and make them more.
Well, I guess what they're trying to bring eyes to it, like, because they're bringing in kind of celebrity women who would step into the car and potentially bring eyes, money, perhaps. To me, that sounds like the logic behind it.
That's
from my perspective.
That's not how they're phrasing the series, though.
Right, and that's where you kind of go, oh, well, why have you done it like that? Yeah.
Anyway, this weekend we're at Turkey.
Right. Yes. Formula One.
Formula One. Let's get on to the subject.
And we can hit back. We can we can hit back on the point that you made earlier about how the tracks aren't. The tracks are all different. This one, as we were talking about for the Turkish Grand Prix, everyone's slipping around everywhere because they resurfaced the damn thing and went, great, so everyone else will drive on it and it'll be ready for the F1. Well, nobody's driven on it.
If we go to Gavin's tech corner, what happens when they resurface a Formula One track? It's not like when they resurface a road, because the surface has to be completely mirror perfect. You can't have ruts in it, any defects or anything like that. It takes specialized equipment, specialized tarmac. Now, when they lay that tarmac, to make sure the tarmac comes off the rollers and all that kind of stuff and gets laid properly, they have to put chemicals into it that effectively give the track a bit of a film. Now, this film doesn't matter to most racing cars. So what normally happens, especially Silverstone in the UK was recently resurfaced, was before the Formula One boys got there in June, there'd been a race of a different caliber on every single weekend before. So none of that chemical and none of that releasing agent or anything like that was left. Because
it had all been driven away.
Yeah, it had all been driven away. And the circuit was perfect. It was rubbered in. But the problem is that the Turkish Grand Prix went, we'll have Formula One this year. Better resurface the circuit, better resurface it. And then they've gone,
we're still going to have Formula One this year, though.
Yeah. And from the sounds of it, Pirelli have missed the tyre boat by about a mile because the hards are so hard that no one can drive on them. I mean, Romain Grosjean's terms, I don't want to be on these anymore, which isn't a Formula One driver going, we need a bit of more right front, we need a bit more at the rear, it's skidding around here. He's going, no, the tyres are shit.
Take these off now. Can't get round. Well, he was there, and it was another spin that he had where he was, what's white tires? Is that soft?
That's the hard.
White is hard, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what he said there. And Bottas had a lap where he slipped 26 times and almost went off, but came back round and was okay. But 26 slips.
Yeah, qualifying is going to be very 50p 5p.
Well, it has been, right? Because you sent me practice 1 and Lewis Hamilton was in like 16th or something. Yeah.
And the problem is that they seem to have got either end of the spectrum. So the hard is so hard that from most of the drivers, they're going, this is like driving on an ice rink, to the soft, that from Carlos Sainz's report and from a report of a couple of other drivers as well, he completed the outlap, which is completed at slow speed to get temperature into the tyres and temperature into the brakes. And by the first corner said he had degradation, which means he's noticed the tyres are now getting worse compared to the outlap.
Nice.
So I think what we'll lead into is that, well, one, F1 drivers really like to complain. And two, we have another weekend where anything could happen.
I was going to say, should we take bets on how many guys actually finish this race?
Yeah, maybe. How many red flags as well?
Yeah.
Because so far, no one has really finished a competitive lap. Max Verstappen managed to put in a fairly decent one in FP2, but the man was wrestling with the car.
Yeah, he was flipping a bunch too.
It wasn't I've got control of this. It was right, turn in. Nope, that's too much. Nope, bit more, bit less, bit more, bit less, bit more, less. Okay, now we can exit the corner. Oh, wait, I haven't got the car dead straight yet, and there's so much power. Nope, okay, now it's straight. And now I can shoot off down the road. Which means that I think the Mercedes aren't going to be able to put any power down, because if they are, they're going to go backwards. Because it'll be like, right, we can deploy all of the Mercedes horsepower. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh, my wheel's gone. Woo!
Did you see Lando Norris's comment?
No, it's his birthday, by the way.
It's his birthday. Happy birthday, Lando. He said that he's going to have to consider moving the mirrors on his car because he's never spent so much time looking out of either side of the cockpit.
Because he's doing this. Just get a waltz, and play it as you see them go slow motion like this.
And they've come into the first turn and they're backwards.
Na 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 na. Well, and Carlos Sainz has already had issues. Yeah. In turn 7, he said he had engine and brake failure.
Engine power steering.
Engine power steering failure.
He didn't sound too impressed, which as someone that's going to Ferrari next year, he might need to practice his everything's broken and I'm okay with it face.
Voice.
Because he effectively went engine power steering. I added it for personal effect.
Yes.
So yeah, I think he needs to get.
So the long and short of it is that anything could happen, and I mean, I don't know. Do you want to go first to pick?
I'm just trying to find some results of who was where in so I can kind of try and figure out who's going to be where.
Well, practice 3 is in 12 hours, apparently. So there's results from practice 2 here. Verstappen was first again.
Yeah, that means nothing.
Leclerc, Bottas, Hamilton.
Yeah. But then, I mean, the only two cars that I can go, okay, well, I'm going to go. I love the way that my only note is Formula 1 F1 Turkey and then just a little arrow that says track is shit.
Bit.
I'm going to go Max, Alex.
Verstappen's going to win.
Yeah. Alex Albon's going to be right behind him. And then I'm going to put Charles. Because he's had a car that doesn't handle properly all year, so he's used to it.
I guess.
Charles Leclerc's been driving like this circuit all year because the Ferrari doesn't handle anyway. So he's got out onto the circuit and gone, that feels great, guys.
To be fair, Hamilton between practice 1 and 2 has gone from 16th to 4th.
Yeah. And we also
So,
know Hamilton's ability to go slowest, 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 slowest. Oh, I've just managed to find 3 seconds.
oh wow, I just pulled those out of my ass.
My
So
favourite Lewis Hamilton at the moment is "My tyres are gone, guys." Sets fastest lap.
yeah, I've got a puncture. Wins
Yeah.
Grand Prix.
Imagine being his engineer. Yeah, guys, my tyres are absolutely gone.
Are you
Yeah, he's
sure?
fine. He's fine. But he's saying his tyres are gone. Yeah, don't worry about it. He does this.
He'll figure it out.
Yeah, okay, Lewis. We'll consider bringing you in a few laps. Oh, Bono, my tyres are gone. They're completely gone. They're useless. He's funny, isn't he? Bono. Yeah, no. I've just set a fast lap of the race. So don't really need tyres then, do you?
Fair enough.
He didn't say anything.
Okay. I've gone Hamilton in first.
If you go Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, I'm going to punch you in the nuts.
I'm not, because I've gone Hamilton, Verstappen, Leclerc.
So you've written that down now.
Yeah.
And your bet is that the man that grew up in Holland, the man that grew up in Monaco, and the man that grew up in Stevenage are going to be better driving on a slippery surface than the man that grew up in Finland.
He slipped 26 times.
Yes. But that's a traditional Finnish drive to school. Valtteri Bottas's mum used to deliver him to school on opposite lock. He's quite used to it. Just have a good day at school, Valtteri.
Pops him out the door like. Well, you don't have Bottas on yours either.
No.
That's all I'm saying.
Because we saw from the last round, not the last round, the round before, that the Mercedes are very good when they can get the power down. But you saw what those McLarens were able to do to them when they couldn't get grip. A Mercedes without grip is a useless machine. And
it is.
This is the one. Yeah.
But Hamilton has gone from 16th to 4th.
Yes.
Oh, that's all I'm saying. Let's carry on to the NFL before we get too.
When did you start becoming a host?
Funny enough, since the beginning. I know it's strange.
Have you got lower thirds yet?
No.
Did you complete your homework from last week?
Yes, you'll see it later.
Okay, because I've done a lot of. I've done 2 separate pieces of homework. One of which,
right.
Yeah. Do you think we should have a TikTok account?
No.
Should we have a TikTok?
No, we're not getting a TikTok.
I'm gonna make a TikTok again.
Oh my god. Okay, you can post stuff on there, right?
Okay.
The Texans and the Jaguars. Well, the Texans did end up squeaking the win, 27-25. But so I get a check mark, but I feel a little bit bad about this one because I said something last week that has kind of come to fruition because J.J. Watt apparently wants out of Texas. After last week, I was like, oh, the Texans should trade him because apparently they're trying to tank.
It's not that they're trying to tank.
They're 2-6, Gav.
Yeah. They've turned around and gone, we're rebuilding, which, if you're looking at it from JJ's point of view, he's not in a position that's particularly synonymous with longevity in the league. He is a defensive rival.
He might be one of the longest serving players in that position.
Yeah. He's given 10 years. Yeah, he's given 10 years. the last 5 of which he struggled with injury, but every single time he gets injured, he seems to come back a bit better.
Mm-hmm.
He's played under Bill O'Brien for 10 years, and at a 10-year mark, he turned around to Bill O'Brien and went, effectively, paraphrase, go 0-1-2-1, do one, mate.
You're an idiot.
You're an idiot. And I think the thing is that this is what's happening, is that players have got to a point now where there was a big resurgence where players just wanted money. So, there was probably a period of time when JJ Watt got a £100 million contract and went, I don't really care about a Super Bowl because I've just been paid £100 million. I'm still getting to appear on Jimmy Fallon. I'm still getting to see what Jennifer Lawrence's underwear looks like. I'm all good.
What?
That's what happened.
We're just going to blow back past that. Oh, my God.
Anyway.
Carry on, yeah.
Yeah. So, that's what happens. You're not at this level of fame yet, Jared, okay? Just agree with me.
Okay.
So, he didn't care. Odell, if you think about the other big players, Odell was in the same boat. Odell basically turned around and was like, I just signed like a £60 million Nike deal for a team that didn't go to the playoffs. I don't really care about going to the Super Bowl. As long as I can make some catches where I make some highlight reels and I make some Nike adverts, I'm good. But then both of those players and probably quite a few other players have turned around and gone, oh, I'm famous for like a year. Or I'm moderately famous. And then looked at Tom Brady and these guys that have won Super Bowls and gone, oh, actually, no, I want a piece of that because I've had this amazing career. And the cherry on top is to be like, and I won a Super Bowl. Because I think that's the point that JJ's at. And that's also the point that Odell's at, is that they go, I might have 5 years in me.
Maybe.
Maybe. And I think he knows that the Texans aren't going to do it next year. He knows that he's now on a team that financially isn't going to be able to give him a big enough they're not going to be able to throw him another £100 million contract. So, money aside, do you take £25 million a year, or £5 million a year, or £15 million a year, to go and play for the Texans again? And maybe next year you make the playoffs if you get a good head coach in, if you get a good GM in, if you draft something worth a damn, and you're kind of in that position.
Well, and you get some good receivers.
It's a big ask for a maybe. Or do you go to a team like, say, for example, a Green Bay, a Pittsburgh, or somewhere like that and go, hey, I'll take 10 cents on the dollar, but I want to make a Super Bowl. I want to play in one. I want to win one.
Right.
Now, 2 of JJ's brothers already play for Pittsburgh. So how amazing would it be for him to win a Super Bowl with the 3 of his brothers? They've shown that defense is a buzzsaw. Imagine what JJ could do when he's not having to worry about what else is going on in the rest of the defense. They just blitz the living daylights out of that front line. There you go. You've got a Steelers team that would definitely get very far, if not go the distance. If the Texans are honestly dealing with rebuild, I think this is an opportunity to. Yes, you lose JJ, which is going to suck because he's a guy that's been so important to your franchise for so many years. But it's a position you put yourselves in.
Well, truly, yeah, and you should absolutely be able to get a lot of assets for him because you cannot botch a JJ Watt trade. They already botched the DeAndre Hopkins trade. You cannot afford to trade JJ Watt for a bucket of footballs.
You need at minimum, a first round pick.
Well, a first round pick and a level like a tier prospect.
Yeah. I would say, like, if I was, yeah, you need a. I mean, if let's say, for example, the Steelers are the proposed team. Let's say, for example, I would want a first round pick, which with the Steelers probably going quite far this year is going to be a low first round pick.
Yep.
And then I'd want a wide receiver, someone that is talented.
Mm-hmm. Now, they might not slot into the team tomorrow, but you're looking at like a 1 to 2 year maximum projected impact on the game day roster.
You're looking at a guy that next year is going to be catching 100 yards a game.
Yeah.
You need to replace the hole that DeAndre has left because it's evident.
It's gaping. Like that. It's like it. It's we know my opinion on that trade, but we have to move on because we've got a lot to get through still. So the Giants beat Washington.
I mean, I picked
20. Now, did you have the Giants?
Yes, I did.
Oh, good. I didn't.
I love how you questioned me for a minute there.
No, I was asking genuinely.
Yeah, no,
I wasn't sure if we had both picked Washington or not. I know we both picked the Ravens, though.
Yeah, we both picked the Ravens.
Yeah, which did have a bit of a scare in this game, but Phillip Rivers decided to be Phillip Rivers and not be very good. So there you go.
Terry bubble.
Yep. The Vikings beat the Lions.
In typical Vikings form.
Kirk Cousins decided to be an elite MVP quarterback.
Yeah. If only he could do that. If only he could do that against other teams. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, he can do it against good teams because they always beat Green Bay.
He needs to do it consistently.
Yeah. Do it all year.
The Titans.
Titans beat the Bears, but who's really surprised about that? The Titans are incredible this year. Sorry. That was coming up no matter what I did.
You got that out, did you?
Yeah. What did you expect me to do? The Chiefs beat the Panthers, but not by much, which is a little bit...
Yeah, the Chiefs are having a bit of a down spell, to be honest. I mean, they had the Panthers had the opportunity to win this game, to be honest, but it's
not the offensive side of the ball. They're another team that I'd go, maybe they'd take JJ.
Right.
Because the problem is that if you look at their offense, I mean, you've got Patrick Mahomes,
it's pretty top tier.
Not much on the rushing side of the football this game. But I don't think they're particularly bothered when they've got two guys with over 100 yards, and they've got, the rest of their defense has then got another 100 yards. Like, they're not struggling to score points. The defense is letting them down, though.
Yeah.
So maybe if you could go, right, well, yes, maybe JJ won't slot in immediately, but you could put him on that defensive line, teach him the basis of your defensive scheme, and at least if you bring him down on first and second down plays, he's making the offense nervous, isn't he? You're going.
Well, he's an immediate boost. I think, regardless of whether he slots in right away or it takes him a few games, he's an immediate improvement. Another team that didn't struggle to score is Buffalo.
Well, yeah. You've got Stephon Diggs and a quarterback that can throw.
Yeah. I mean, I thought Russell Wilson was going to do Russell Wilson things, and he still kind of did, but they managed to they managed to do more Russell Wilson-y things against him.
Yes. Don't think that takes away from Russell Wilson. I think everyone has a bad game.
No, it was a very good game. And I don't even think Russell Wilson's game was very bad.
Again, I think if an offense is putting up 30-plus points and you lose, it's not your offense's fault.
No.
it's your defense's fault.
Mm-hmm.
If even if you, I think if that point, if you're at 30-30 and you lose because the QB throws an interception, well, in my opinion, the defense should never have let it got to that position. It's like when teams get really annoyed because their kicker missed a kick and they're like, oh, the kicker lost us the game. No, you lost the game because you put yourself in a situation where your kicker had to make a kick to win or lose the game.
Right.
It's great when the kicker makes that kick.
Yeah. Too much pressure. The Falcons beat the Broncos. Don't know how many people care, but Matt Ryan decided to be an elite MVP quarterback, which he can do sometimes.
On Tuesdays.
Yeah. It's funny because they don't play on Tuesdays.
Okay.
The Raiders beat the Chargers. Great. It's good. The Battle of LA, I guess, is alive and well. I guess.
Sorry, no, I've just looked at the next result.
Yeah. Yeah. The Dolphins are suddenly emerging as a team.
But they're not a team.
Apparently they are.
Why am I now worrying about losing to the Dolphins?
I know. But it's been two games in a row where the Dolphins have just been like, oh, amazing.
The next one was the Cowboys and the Steelers, which effectively was like, here's some fresh meat.
Well, but it shouldn't have been this close because the Cowboys were winning this game for a good period of time, like until the fourth quarter. And then they fell apart because it's the Cowboys and they have nobody playing for them. But, like...
Speaking of... Yeah.
Big Ben just picked them apart in the fourth quarter. And...
Yeah. Speaking of falling apart, what the fuck?
Whew. That's bad. I'd forgotten that it was that bad. The Saints beat the Bucs. Yeah, 38-3. 4 touchdowns for Drew Brees, 26 for 32. 3 interceptions for Tom Brady. Was he okay? Are we sure it was Tom Brady that put the jersey on?
I think it was Tom Brady that put the jersey on. I think that the Saints defense just basically found something, because if you look down, no one achieved anything on that offense. So Brady went 22 for 38.
Yikes.
He only threw for 209 yards. Not really Tom Brady-esque, and there was 3 interceptions. But if you then go down, I don't know what their plan was, because they only tried to run the ball 5 times.
Yeah.
And then Mike Evans had 4. Leonard Fournette, who's their running back, had 6. And then basically everyone else got a little bit of a spattering of the ball. And Rob Gronkowski had 1 for 2 yards.
Yep.
Were you on lunch?
I don't know, but it was an evening game, so maybe they were just out for dinner and forgot to come back to the stadium.
I don't know much about being an offensive coordinator at professional level. But what I do know is that you need to run more than 45 plays.
Yeah, it's not good, eh?
Yeah, because if you just look down the stats quickly, so the total yards, the Saints had 420 total yards as compared to the 194 of the Bucs. And the rushing yards is the one that's really embarrassing, because the Saints had 138 yards rushing. The Buccaneers had 8. So
Love that.
one thing I will say to the Buccaneers is maybe run the football a little bit more.
Yeah,
Just
especially
maybe.
because you have Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, who can run the football rather well.
And apparently catch it not too bad either. So,
Well, he did everything.
yeah,
Um,
except he didn't because nothing
yeah.
was done.
The next one is the definition of the skin of the teeth.
Yeah, you had a bit of a scare on this one, didn't you?
Oh,
Joe Flacco remembered how to be a quarterback.
he hasn't known for however many years. I don't know why he decided today. I'm sorry. I've just looked at something and realised how dire the situation is in New England. I like wide receivers. Yeah. I don't know who our most productive wide receiver was. He's called Jay Myers.
Jacoby Myers.
Never heard of the guy.
12 catches for 169 yards.
His wife's having a good night, isn't she?
Oh my god.
Imagine if someone had, as an undrafted free agent wide receiver going into the NFL. Imagine if someone turned around to him and said, "Right, I'm going to explain something to you. By halfway through your first year of free agent in the NFL, you're going to catch 170 yards from Cam Newton and be playing for the Patriots." I'd have that.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me.
It's gotten quite dark here.
Yeah, but then yeah, it has. I was gonna point out you look like Poltergeist. But then the other thing I was going to point out is I don't think if you then said, "Oh yeah, but you're also going to be on the 3 and 5 Patriots."
Yeah, that might have been less of a selling point. As much as we rip on the Indianapolis Colts, they're 6-3 because they beat the Titans 34-17.
What happened there?
Phillip Rivers decided to show up, and so did Hines, their running back, whose first name I do not want to butcher.
Do you want me to give it a go?
Niam.
Niam.
Sorry, everyone.
It's actually an Irish name, Jared.
And Michael Pittman Jr.
You uncultured swine.
Caught 7. Okay, you say Nike, okay? I was gonna let it slide, but now I'm not. Okay, he says Nike because the British say Nike for some reason, even though it's Nike.
When you find an IE in that word, shove it up your own arse.
What do you mean IE? Nike E. There's an E at the end of it. Nike. It's an American company. In America, they say Nike.
Right, say N.
N.
Say I.
I.
Say K.
K.
Say E.
E. Nike.
Nike. No, when you have a KE, it doesn't give you an IE, does it?
No.
Right, this is really the best thing to be discussing on a sports podcast, is it really, you grammar?
Nike?
Like,
I mean, it's a pretty big sports company that you're pronouncing incorrectly. So...
can't believe we colonized your bloody country. Let's not get onto that because we'll get lost, won't we?
Yeah.
Browns, Texans. I'm going to go Browns.
Oh, yeah, we got to jump right into that. We didn't even tally up our wins here. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think. Nope, 8.
I got 11.
8 for 14. So I did about 50%. Yeah, Browns. Yep, good for me. Works.
Wait. We're just going to skip over the fact that I went 11 to 14.
Yeah, no, you had a good week. You had a good week last week too. Or no, we both had an awful week last week.
Yes. Browns. I'm gonna go. Oh, I don't even know with this next one. Lions and Washington.
Yeah, I'll go Washington again.
Now I'm gonna go Bucks because I feel that Tom Brady's probably been hearing this in the ear from every single person that he threw 3 interceptions.
I'm going to go Panthers just because the Panthers had such a good game last week and might be able to take advantage of a slightly stunned Buccaneers team. The Eagles and the Giants. I mean, do we have to even pick a winner of this game?
I'm gonna go with the Giants, and my reasoning is that maybe Saquon Barkley can come back and hop.
Like I don't even want to pick the Eagles to go opposite you because they're awful. So Giants.
Yeah. The next one is going to be eBay.
Packers. Bills and Cardinals should be a good game, but I will go with the Bills.
What, because they beat them last week?
Well, because the Bills had such a good game against the Seahawks last week, too.
True. That is very true. The next one is Dolphins and the Chargers. I'm gonna pick the Dolphins to win a football game.
Me too. I don't have any faith in the Chargers. They just lost Honestly, to the Raiders, so who cares?
It depends what side of the bed that Philip Rivers rolls out of.
Well, Rivers is with the Colts. Don't forget.
Sorry, my apologies.
So it doesn't even matter because you don't even know who is their quarterback. So who cares? Raiders. What? Raiders?
Yeah, Raiders. It's the Broncos. They haven't been good since they lost Peyton Manning. The Rams. Yeah.
I mean, I think basically the rest of these are pretty obvious.
Oh, it's going to be a bad week for the Bengals.
Yep. Because Steelers.
That's going to hurt.
You think what else is going to hurt is the Saints beating the 49ers because Jimmy G is not well. So Saints. Ravens over your lowly Patriots.
Again, I'm not going to say who I picked because it hurts my feelings.
Vikings or Bears?
I'm going Vikings because, as always, Kirk Cousins has to follow his normal yearly prediction, which is basically give the Vikings fans enough hope that they go, oh, next year is going to be our year when Kirk Cousins is healthy. And then yeah, I mean, I think his speen's going to fall out of his arse or something. He's going to get tackled in his own bum hole. Who knows?
I've gone Bears because we're not really opposite for most of the week. And
did you make the bloop noise to simulate Kirk Cousins' spleen falling out of his bum?
No.
Okay.
I laughed.
Oh,
but there was water in my mouth. And then I think I'll end it off with another Seahawks win.
Yeah.
Over the Cardinals. It'll be a close one. But the Cardinals just aren't quite good enough of a team. Right. We talked about the IIHF. What we do have to mention is the Miami Marlins have hired the first female general manager in MLB history. Kim Nung, I believe, is how you pronounce it. I always get tripped up because I've run into multiple folks with the last name NG, and sometimes it gets pronounced differently. So I've gone with Nung, but that may be wrong. But anyways, Kim is the first female GM of in Major League Baseball history, and she's been, she's been around for about 21 years. Basically serving in the front offices of the Chicago White Sox. That's where she started in 1990, then moved to the New York Yankees in 98, and then joined the Dodgers from 2002 to 2011, and was otherwise a senior vice president of the MLB. So, she's been a very high-ranking woman throughout throughout her career, really.
She's paid her dues. She's got a job that she deserves.
Exactly. And so, and this is, of course, the team that is owned by Derek Jeter. I'm sure you know who that is. So CEO Derek Jeter making history, and continuing to change rewrite the script, right? Because he was the first black CEO in baseball.
Yeah.
So that is a fact. That is a truth fact. It is written. Some people might not think he is, but he is.
I've never heard of a truth fact.
No.
As is the intention that normally, if something's the truth, it's also a fact.
Yeah, so they go together. It's good.
No, they don't.
I have to referee hockey after this, so
I know. That's going to be.
I think it's going to go well. I think my decision making is at a high right now, and I think it's going to go well. So, anyways, congratulations to Kim making history with the.
I don't really have anything to say on that apart from well done.
Yeah, I just think this podcast has actually been almost surprisingly female focused. And so I think it goes with the theme. It was announced today, Friday, November the 13th. So everybody thinks that Friday the 13th is bad, but hey, look at that. Great news.
Yes.
Lovely. Right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share.
Use technology.
I know. I'm going to share my screen.
While you figure this out, should I premise the game?
Yes, you can, because I have to open the document.
So, something that Jared started, but I'm trying to be a bit more helpful on this podcast, which wasn't part of the deal, but we won't talk about that, is I like beating Jared at things. Doesn't really matter what it is, as long as I win. So, Jared brought me the logo game and brought me the strange name game, and the first time I played him in the logo game, he did quite well, I'll say. This time out, I don't think he's going to do well. So I have 6 logos. Of those 6 logos, he has the possibility. I want from each one I'm going to have to get a bit of paper ready. There we go. Now I can see your screen. I want a location, a sport, and a team name.
Right. So I'm going to do a little chart here. Location, sport, name.
So you have a possibility of, this is out of 18 points.
I feel like you've done this on purpose because the name bar is probably underneath.
Yeah, they are cropped strategically.
Yeah. This
now,
gives
do you want me to tell you after you've guessed, or do you want me to go through them after?
Well, why don't we go through them all at the end? Because I think this is going to be a bit of a longer podcast because of our long discussion about the IIHF to begin the show. So we don't want to keep everything too long. However, this gives me Newcastle vibes.
I'm not going to give you anything. So
No, I know. So I'm going Newcastle because
yeah.
I've I've seen these colors before.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go soccer as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I have no idea what the Newcastle football team is called.
Okay. Well, you're gonna have to take a punt.
Okay, I have to guess.
So, yeah, I will give you, in the aspect of fairness, I will give you 3 lifelines, which is 3 things you can ask, and I will give you a
hint.
A hint. And with this one, there is different interpretations of the team name, so all you have to do is get reasonably close. I'm not going to be mean on this.
I mean, there's two. I don't think so. There's 2 quite large sledgehammers on the logo, though. So, like, obviously that's significant. And the big castle is why I got Newcastle vibes, because, like, there's castles everywhere. So, like, it has to be important to that place so much so that they would then put it on their logo.
So just take a punt at a team name.
Hammer time. It's wrong.
Okay.
I'm not even writing it down because it's so embarrassingly wrong. Okay, number 2. Oh my God. What the hell is that? Are these all in England or the UK?
Yeah, these are all teams that play a sport in the UK or internationally.
This looks like this looks like a rooster. Right, I've got no idea for the location, but I'm going to say that it's rugby based on this funny ball at the bottom.
Okay.
I know it doesn't look like a rugby ball, but it's got laces on it. And I mean, it's closer to a rugby ball than a soccer ball. And I don't know what else you're going to play.
Uh-huh.
With a ball with laces.
Okay, and what would you say the team name is?
I mean, I went with Roosters. I think we can extrapolate what I want to say from.
Okay, let's just move on.
I'm not going to.
This is really going well for you.
Yeah.
And I made this a little bit too difficult because it doesn't get any easier from here.
Oh, good. Super happy about this. Next week, I'm going to just destroy you with my logos.
Okay.
Where the hell's a rooster significant in the UK? Because I think rooster, I think France, because they have a rooster on their soccer logo. So I don't know, whatever. Okay, well, these are the Bears. So Bears. Yeah. I have a hard time remembering a lot of good places in the UK because there's so many.
This one I've added because it has absolutely no correlation to anything.
Oh, good.
I looked at this and went, why did you name your team that?
Can I use a lifeline then?
Yes.
So what kind of hint can you give me about this team?
So I recently posted a picture.
Oh, God.
To our Instagram. The person in that picture shares his location with this team.
Oh, okay. So they're from Bristol.
Yes. So the only one you need now is the sport.
Why are they named the Bears? Are there bears in Wales, let alone Bristol? You wouldn't have many sheep if there were bears in Wales. So
Do you want to move on, or
I
just take a
guess
punt
so.
at any? Just
Um,
take a punt at a sport.
cricket.
Yeah. Okay. Move on.
I mean, I swung for the fences and actually
Yeah.
connected last time I used cricket.
Yeah.
So
Well done.
I have less faith in it this time. What the devil is that?
I
Rugby.
think made this too hard.
I'm
Oh no,
saying rugby
I don't make it too hard.
because that is absolutely the shape of a rugby ball. Um, I don't know. The Hertfordshire.
Do you want me to just give you 2 X's on that one before you even get there?
I guess.
Okay, made this a bit too hard. Okay, so the next 2,
Well, this is
you
the
got
English.
8.
What?
Oh, just go.
Well, this is this is English rugby, isn't it? Or UK rugby?
Is that definitely a
No,
sport? Yeah.
no. This is the UK hockey team. The Lions everywhere, but it's on the UK hockey team.
Okay, and the next one.
So I get that one.
Yeah, you've got that one. I was going
Oh,
to
well,
be really annoyed.
that's the UH Comets.
Oh fuck!
Of course it is. It's what? It's
I
the
didn't know if you'd seen the new logo.
That's our logo looked like that.
So, on the last 2, you did very well.
Hooray.
Overall, you got 9 out of 18.
Hey, that's 50%. It's better than I expected.
So
Okay, from the
all
top.
the way, so this is West Ham.
Damn.
They are also known as, I would have accepted, the Hammers. And they are based in a borough of London called West Hamley. So West Ham. And they are a soccer team.
Yes. I said hammer time, so like
I always do these with the thinking that you will at least give it a punt and get close. And my thought on that one was maybe hammer. This one, I realised
I did say
unequivocally.
hammer time.
Yeah, I realised unequivocally I have no idea how your brain works, because I looked at that ball and went, he's going to think it's basketball because that looks like a basketball to me.
Basketballs don't have laces.
No, so this is the logo of Tottenham Hotspurs.
Tottenham.
They are based in Tottenham, London.
Yeah.
And don't ask me what the bird's about.
So, and the Hotspurs are a soccer team.
Yes. So you got that wrong.
Why the hell do they have lace? No, I wrote rugby. Why the hell does they put laces on their ball? That's stupid.
Don't know. One fact about Tottenham Hotspurs is, though, that they have 2 facts. They can serve beer faster than any other stadium in the world.
Lovely.
Because they have glasses that have a thing that they fill from the bottom.
Oh, yeah, from the bottom.
Yeah?
Yes, we love that.
And the other thing is that they built a new stadium, and as part of all of the Tottenham stadiums have always had a bird at the top of the stadium, that bird, because that's significant somehow. And they made their stadium bigger, and the team thought, oh, we'll be really nostalgic. And they removed the old bird and moved it to the new stadium, at which point the reports were it looked like a pigeon that was about to crap on part of the stadium because it was so small. So they then had to make a bigger one.
I mean, that's what their logo kind of looks like.
Yeah. But the problem was, apparently when they made the bigger one, that they made it weigh 12 tons and then didn't really know how they were going to get it back onto the top of the stadium.
12-ton pigeon?
Yes. made of concrete.
Lovely.
Yes.
Gone
So
well
you
for
did.
them.
Yes. This is the Bristol Bears.
Nice.
They're a rugby team.
Damn it.
There has never been a bear anywhere near to Bristol.
Bristol, Wales.
I have no idea why the significance is a bear.
Because they're fearsome.
To
Arr.
be honest, it could have something to do with Bristol's very popping gay scene, so Bristol Bears. But that's about as close as I could get. I just looked at this because it came up and I went,
The bear also doesn't have a mouth.
no, because it's fierce.
Ah.
That is Saracens Rugby Club. They are based in London.
Well, I got rugby.
You got rugby.
Huzzah.
You didn't get Saracens, and you didn't get the team name, which admittedly is a bit of a difficult one. So, yeah.
I've never heard of Saracens.
This next one, actually, no, I'm annoyed that you never heard of Saracens because we sat in a pub for 2 hours and watched them play once.
Was that at Ellie House?
Yeah.
Oh.
Me, you, and Jack. After we did your radio show, we went and watched the Saracens play at the Ellie House.
How much was I really paying attention to the rugby,
I don't
though?
know. To be honest, I think your back was to the screen. The next one, there was a moment where you said this was the English rugby team, and I went, if I slip this past him, I don't need anything for Christmas. Because the ice hockey guy not knowing what the future champion of hockey is and their logo.
Oh, yeah. The future champion of hockey that your team's made up of half Canadians who have British citizenship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look, Jared, do you not understand the English sporting motto, okay?
Yes, I figured it out.
They're it's when they're losing, they're their individual nationality. So
oh yes, I know that.
Yeah. When Tin Hemmon is losing, he's Scottish.
Right.
When he's winning, he's British.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one, I just thought maybe you'd slip by because I think we spent most of our time with this logo on inebriated. This was mine and Jared's old team. This was the University of Hertfordshire lacrosse team.
Woo!
Called the Comets. Do you know why they're called the Comets, by any chance?
Because you can throw a lacrosse ball really hard and make it look like a comet.
Bow. Do you know why the University of Hertfordshire lacrosse team is called the Comets? Do you know? Look, Jared. In Women's Day podcast tradition, we're going to have a woman on podcast. Do you know why the University of Hertfordshire lacrosse team are called the Comets?
A, because of Comet Roundabout that is in between the two campuses, and the Comet Roundabout is so named because of comets used to be made on the de Havilland campus, which was an old airfield back when the university was Hatfield Polytechnic.
Okay, you can go.
I knew about the airfield.
What do you think it was there for, display?
Huh?
Don't worry about it. All right.
Well, what was where? Huh? Never mind. I knew it was an airfield.
Yeah.
I don't know the names of half the planes that made there.
Okay. And I don't know where to further go with this podcast now.
Well, I have the logo, or a rough version of the logo.
A rough version of the logo. I just want to acknowledge, right, that we during this podcast, and we had a conversation. I said, look, I'd love to do a podcast with you because we don't often have time to talk because we're both very busy. So we decided that if we gave ourselves something professional to do, it would give us some time during the week to talk, and that we've done that consistently every week. And I like this idea. But we did also say that you would be the host.
Yeah, and I've been doing that.
I
don't appreciate being called out every week for not being the host.
No. I just want to know that this week I came up with the game, and to add as well, I have also made our Instagram page, which for the people watching, it is. Sorry, I've got to work
Well, it's
technology.
better luck next week, all one word.
Yes, better luck next week, or one word.
Yes, don't click on better luck next time. None of that stuff.
No, better luck next week. And
No
after
one else has done better luck next week. So,
No. Yeah, we're individuals.
yes, anybody trying to say otherwise is wrong. Right, are you ready?
Aww, that's really good. I just realised what you've done.
Do you like that I've kept Jamal's hands in?
Yeah, I like that you've kept Jamal's hands in.
We're about to be pulled into a black hole by Jamal. Because...
So, a little bit of an explanation behind this. So, on the right-hand side, as I'm looking at the screen, we have a picture of me playing lacrosse, Jared playing lacrosse, which was how we met. A picture of me and you quite inebriated.
Well, the pictures of us playing lacrosse, we both look a bit dumb.
Yeah. And then the next one that kind of gets me is me and you both loved Philip DeFranco and got Philip DeFranco. You bought for the two of us Philip DeFranco sports shirts, and I still have mine to this day and wear it often. Yep. And this was coming up to one of the nights where I think you were going back home in 2 months or something like that. So we wanted to take a picture of me and you. So when we were taking this picture, we were about a head's width apart. And a large man called Jamal, thought that he would insert himself into this very lovely picture of me and you, and put his head between our bodies at crotch level. Now, I said to Jared that Jared should Mike Wazowski him, which was put the logo over his face. But you've done even better and completely photoshopped him out.
Except for his hands.
Except for his hands, which is a level of brilliance.
I think that I didn't appreciate it.
It was very good. It's very good. I like it. I have some notes as to I'm noticing things the more I look at it. As I think we need like a race car in it somewhere. But also, why is the outside of the logo pink?
Well, I tried to make it like a purple, like a U Hertz purple, but it wasn't as poppy because like purple and black. So it's like a pink. Pink is a man's color.
I love it. It's great.
Right. We'll make it. We'll have some notes.
Yeah.
After we close, because I think we're almost at the 2-hour mark. So we wish better luck next week to all the losers.
Yeah.
And better luck next week to my designing skills.
Yeah. That's very good. I definitely couldn't have done this. I'm going to have notes, but I definitely couldn't have done this.
As we get pulled into the black hole of oblivion.
Yeah.
By Jamal.
You need to end the podcast now.
I know. I think I have to stop sharing and then end.
Okay.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.